Okay, so in this video, we're going to be looking at how to solve this quadratic equation using factorisation. So this question is a little bit trickier than the question before, and you'll see why in a second. So let's do the same process as before. So we're solving a quadratic by factorisation, and we know that quadratics have two brackets when they are factorised. So let's start by putting those two brackets in. Okay, so let's have a think. How can I get x squared? So hopefully you can see here that that's going to be an x times by an x. Okay, so hopefully you can remember the next step, that we focus on this last number here. And we say, what two numbers can times together to give my 6? So nice one here would be 6 and 1. And we could also have 3 and 2. So this is the step that I really want you to pay attention to here. So in the last video, we then focused on this middle number here. And we said, right, which of our factors have a connection to 5? So in this case, you can see that both of these sets of numbers have a connection to 5, because I could do 6 minus 1, or I could do 3 add 5. So how do we decide which one to use? So let's go through this. In this method, we're going to have to use trial and error. So let's first start with the 6 and the 1. So imagine I had a 6 here and a 1 here. What would we get? So let's join our lines up. So we're going to have 1x and 6x. Let's write this down. X and 6x. And that has to equal 5x. So for this to be true, we've got to have minus x plus 6x. So we're going to have a positive 6 and a negative 1. Okay, so now let's double check that this gives plus 6. 6 times minus 1 gives me minus 6. So we've arrived at a problem here. 6 and 1 is not going to work because upon expansion, it gives us minus 6 rather than positive 6. So we're going to have to try the 3 and the 2 now. Okay, so imagine I put a 3 in the first bracket and a 2 in the second bracket. Okay, let's do the expansion again. So we're going to have 2x and 3x. And that has to equal my 5x. Okay, so for this to be true, both need to be positive. So plus 3 and plus 2. Let's just double check the expansion for the last number. So we've got 3 times 2, which perfect, gives me plus 6. Okay, so hopefully you can think back now to the first video in the sense that we need to solve this. So remember that these two brackets here are timesing together. Okay, so x plus 3 is timesing by the x plus 2. And this has to equal to 0. So remember that when this is true, in order for a number times another number to equal to 0, one of them has to be equal to 0 itself. So imagine I set my x plus 3 to equal to 0. By rearranging, I can see I'm going to move this plus 3 to the other side, and it will become minus 3, giving me an answer of x equals to minus 3. But the x plus 2 could also equal to 0, and this would work as well. So upon rearrangement, let's move this plus 2 to the other side, and it will become x is equal to minus 2. And we have got two answers for this equation. Brilliant.